never paid any heed to the ancient prophecies. Like fools, we clung to the old hatreds. And fought as we had for generations. Until the day the sky rained fire, and the new enemy came among us. We stand now upon the brink of destruction, for the reign of chaos has come at last.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I am hyped after that. Woo, chills every time. Chills. Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is finally here. It is finally time. I was there when they debuted that cinematic over a year ago at BlizzCon. I was there in the crowd. And my goodness, the reaction that we all had when we realized they were remaking this incredible game. Oh, man. I've been dying to get my hands on this and play this for over a year. You guys have no idea how much I've been anticipating this. I will acknowledge that my playthrough of the original version of this game had some issues because, one, I had never played it before, didn't really know what was going on from a technical aspect because, as some of you guys probably know, some of the coding for the original game wasn't great, especially when it came to actually playing the cinematics within the game. You had to have like a certain resolution and such. It was a technical nightmare when I tried to record it and show it, and you guys can see because it's very evident in those. In fact, when it tried to show the famous cinematic at the end of Frozen Throne, you know, the one where he ascends the glacier, it glitched out the audio for that, which was fantastic. So let's just say that there are certain cinematics in here that, one, I'm hoping are going to run properly, but two, I'm hoping they've redone just like they did that one you just saw. That was clearly a remastered version of that intro cinematic, which was really, really good. It was so much improved over the original. And I'm really hoping that's going to be the case with some of these. Now, I also want to point something out here as well, and I think I may have helped contribute to this. I want to show this to you. So in the original version, there was hard, normal, and that was it. They added another difficulty, story. Now, I don't know if I told you guys this on camera, but when I was there at BlizzCon and I tested out the demo, the person who was there, who's part of the dev team, who was had the laptops where you can type in all the feedback that you want to provide about the demo and such, about the game, I was telling him about how I think it would be great if they took notes from the people who designed StarCraft 2 when they were kind of like trying to develop it following Brood War, which was, in Brood War, it had no difficulty options, and it was just one difficulty and cheats, because if you couldn't be able to play up to the standard of that difficulty, well, you couldn't beat the game. At least I couldn't. So I had to use cheats. And I told them, it's like, if you want to get in the good graces of some people who perhaps are not that good at RTS games, add more difficulty options. And I encouraged him to not only add an easier difficulty option, but to go ahead and make an even harder difficulty option. Like you guys know about Brutal in StarCraft 2, right? The Brutal difficulty option. Go ahead and add that for this. Now, it looks like they didn't do that. They thought hard was hard enough. But I am very happy to see that they added a story difficulty option for those like myself who just want to show the story. And also for the amount of people who I know never played the original game and are experiencing Warcraft 3 for the first time through this game and have this difficulty option to use just because they want to see this story and what happened, because many of them have played World of Warcraft, but they've never played Warcraft 3 and have never seen some of these things. I know people personally that I met that I talked to at that BlizzCon who told me that they had never played Warcraft 3 before and they were looking forward to playing this just to experience it for the first time. And I think that is awesome. And, I've always been one of those alongside the likes of TB that says the more options you have for players, the better. The more options you provide for players to have their own preferences and experiences, the better off your game is. Rather than limited options allow for limited experiences and limited player satisfaction when it comes to their own personal preferences and such. I just want to share that. So now, what do you guys say we get this started with another cinematic, and then, of course, the tutorial, because this is the prologue, the Exodus of the Horde, a very crucial part in this story. And, of course, remember, this is after Thrall has rallied the Horde out of their internment camps, and it's basically has them on the run, trying to get away from the humans and just help them survive and establish a life and get away from their past of the Burning Legion, trying to make them into a weapon. So let's see Medivh give Thrall a vision.
The sands of time have run out, son of Durotan. The cries of war echo upon the winds. The remnants of the past scar the land. Which is besieged once again by conflict. Arise to challenge fate and lead their brethren to battle. As mortal armies rush blindly towards their doom, the burning shadow comes to consume us all. You must rally the Horde and lead your people to their destiny. Seek me out.
So yeah. I'll tell you this right off the bat, that did not look like it was a redone cinematic like the Prophecy one was, but rather it was basically the exact same one. It might be a slightly higher quality, like visually, but it was basically the exact same cinematic. So that tells me that they may not have actually redone the cinematics in this game. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because one of the reasons I've been so hyped for this is because there are very certain specific cinematics within this game that are very iconic. And many of us have wondered how much better they would look if they were redone for this game. You guys probably would know exactly which ones I'm talking about. There are certain ones in this that are amazing. And if they were redone with the modern CGI of today, compared to how they were made back then, oh, they would look so good. I hope that's the case. I really hope this is not the only one that they actually redid, the Prophecy one. I really hope that's not the case. I hope to be very pleasantly surprised. So let's start off with the tutorial mission, Chasing Visions, and get a glimpse of how the game looks now compared to then. Chapter 1. Somewhere in the Arathi Highlands, Thrall, the young war chief of the Orcish horde, wakes from his troubling dream. Let's go see Medivh.
What kind of nightmare was that?
It was not a nightmare, young war chief, but a vision. Follow me, and I will reveal what your future holds.
I don't know what this is all about, but I'll play along.
It's good to hear Metzen again. So, right off the bat, one of the things I really like that they have clearly done with this is they have basically kept all the original audio for this game, which is wonderful. I would have been a little disappointed if they had actually redone some of it with like you know how in the Culling of Stradholm dungeon in World of Warcraft, how they actually had a different actor play Arthas and voice his lines for that dungeon compared to the voice actor for Arthas in this game? That was disappointing. And if I ever do a series where I go through all the dungeons in WoW to just kind of showcase them and, soloing them and all that, I'll talk about that. But I like that they kept the audio. I do love some of the improved portraits. Like this one here, you actually see you see pupils in the eyes. Remember in the original, Thrall basically just had white eyes but no pupils. It was kind of scary looking. But even though at times he would just kind of look at you and just smile like, hi. By the way, it's also great to hear Metzen voice Thrall, that version of him from back then. Also, great to hear Cam Clark voicing Medivh again. Yeah. Look at this. Look at this model here.
Excellent. You seem eager to be on your way. However, you must first learn how to give orders to Thrall. Try ordering Thrall to move down the path towards the nearby banner. To do this, click the Move button in the bottom right corner of your screen and then click on the banner.
Please stop talking, narrator, so I can have a moment to talk about this. So right off the bat, look at this improved model. Look at that. Look at the detail on his black plate mail right there. I mean, if you've played Heroes of the Storm, this is very much like the detail of that. Also, look at the detail on the Doomhammer. The detail on that is great because it looks very much like the one that my shaman has in World of Warcraft. I do love also the improved detail on the wolf mount that he rides. Very nice looking. And again, just look at the portrait here. Just much improvement here. Just love it, love it, love it. There are some things that I've heard some people talk about in terms of like the landscape, but the thing is, some of the stuff I feel like didn't need to be changed or improved or remastered because it was just fine as it was. The thing about Warcraft 3 compared to say Brood War is that a number of things in the details, like this grass here, it's fine as it is. You know, not everything had to get a complete makeover. It would be incredible kudos if they actually did do that, but some things just don't really need to. Look at that deer. Definitely a visual improvement. You can see the visual improvements here, and this will obviously continue as the game goes on.
Skillfully done. However, the orc encampment is still far off. In order to reach the next banner, scroll the screen to the north by moving your mouse to the top edge of the screen. Very good. The path to the next banner leads through a black area. Notice how the black area shrinks as Thrall moves through it. This reflects areas you have explored.
Alright, hold on a second. I'm going to test something out here. This is something we have to test out because many of us remember this from this game. So I went ahead and re-pulled up what was considered the cheats of this game back in the day. And you guys even saw me use them in the original playthrough of the original game that I did on this channel. Alright, so let's see if they let you still do this. Even though they added the story difficulty and you won't need this.
In the middle of the encampment.
There we go. So cheats do still work in this game. So if you still want to use cheats in this game, you can go ahead and do that. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and reload the save I just made because, that's not exactly what I was intending to continue to use. I just wanted to test if it worked. And go ahead and show on camera if it worked or not. And I know I used cheats quite a bit in the original run. Because they added the story difficulty, here's hoping I won't have to use any cheats whatsoever. And I am certainly not going to use it on the final mission of the Night Elf campaign of Reign of Chaos, because as I mistakenly showed, it completely bugs out. Well, it doesn't stop it from happening, but basically there's no actual Archimon model knocking down the gates. It just kind of opens on its own. Because I mistakenly thought, I'll just go ahead and wreck everything and win. Nope, that's not what I'm supposed to do. So I messed up in actually showing how that works. So that's why I'm very much looking forward to sort of redeem myself, in a manner of speaking.
Let's get on
Select
with it.
Thrall and order him to move to the banner in the middle of the encampment.
Loktar, my warriors.
We are yours to command, War Chief.
In order to have Thrall and his troops move together, you must first select all of them. Now that your troops are all selected, order them to move to the next banner.
So real quick, I want to comment on this. You heard that right? Hold on. In fact, hold on a second. Let's do something I actually never did before. Nope.
Poke, poke, poke. Is that all you do? Me no sound like Yoda. Do I? Swobu. What you want? Why you poking me again? Poke, poke, poke. Is that all you do? Me so horned, me hurt you long time. It not easy being green.
There are a ton of Easter egg lines from poking units in this game. Just absolutely fantastic. I didn't know about that when I first played this game, and then I found videos of people just showing off all these lines and explaining the references. There are amazing, hilarious Easter egg lines in this from various different units. And I'm going to try and show as many of them as I possibly can, if I can remember to do so. There are times I may forget, but I also wanted to comment on the voice of the orc grunt here.
Yes?
That is, I believe, Bill Roper, who is the voice of the orcs from Warcraft 1 and 2. So you guys know the peons, right?
Something you doing? Work, work. Yes, War Chief.
Ready to work. Yeah, that's him. That's him. Now, if I recall, he also voiced Phoenix in StarCraft 1. He also has done various different characters in some of the earlier Blizzard games. He was a voice in Diablo 2, like in Act 4. Those are kind of like the main signature ones from those series that he did. It's just a shame the attitude that he took and kind of the person he became later on. But I just kind of wanted to comment on that if you are ever curious about that, that's basically who that voice actor is and who's responsible for the signature peon voices. Me, not that kind of work. So.
The spirits are restless. Prepare yourselves. I sense a knoll ahead.
To order Thrall's forces to defeat this foul creature, select all of your troops, click on the...
Poor
This was
Noel.
only a scout, but the knoll's camp lies just ahead.
Order your troops to perform an aggressive attack move into the enemy encampment. To do this, select all of your troops, click the attack button, and then left-click on the ground in the middle of the knoll camp.
Look, Narrow! None will survive. Look, Narosh!
I recall that the wolf that Thrall is riding does have a name. I just can't remember what that wolf's name was. I believe it was name dropped in one of the books. It may have been Lord of the Clans. I don't remember. By the way, speaking of the books, there are a couple of specific snippets and certain scenes that I plan on reading from a couple of the books that have to do with what happens in this game. When we get to Stratholme, I'm going to be reading a little bit from the book Arthas Rise of the Lich King to expand on the conversation that happens between Arthas, Uther, and Jaina before the events of Stratholme. The other part is going to be when Tyrande goes into Maev's prison to free Illidan, and I will be reading the intro of the book Illidan that came out, which focus on that specific scene, just to expand on that as well, just because, well, I thought those scenes were very not only awesome, but also, especially the one about the conversation in Stratholme, was very important because they don't take place here in the game. And it's something some people have asked about, and it's actually in the book.
Murloc raiders in the nearby river.
Would make excellent targets for your new Chain Lightning spell. To have Thrall use his new ability,
Of course they would.
Chain Lightning button, and then... Some monsters... This particular treasure chest contained a useful potion of mana. Notice that the potion now occupies one of Thrall's inventory slots near the bottom middle of your screen. Potions of mana can be used to replenish a hero's mana, the magic energies that allow the casting of spells such as Chain Lightning.
Poor Murlocs.
The wolf howl signifies that night has begun.
Be wary, my warriors. Don't let nightfall dull.
And there's
your
Medivh
senses.
waiting for us.
Dabu.
Oh, hold on. You gotta explore.
For honor.
Another trophy.
Yes.
Or not trophy, treasure. But then again, orcs came from ogres, and, well, as we saw in Warlords, ogres tend to take quite a bit of trophies. If you want to call them those.
Ogre. We'd have a fierce battle.
Speaking
on
of
our
which-
hands if the beast weren't sleeping. Dabu. Yes.
Did I miss any areas? I don't think so.
For honor. A golem. Watch yourselves, my brother. Those creatures do not sleep at night.
Ooh. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of like getting all giddy about the updated models. I did, like, when this game was in beta, I would actually log in to do multiplayer matches, and I would tell my opponent, look, I'm just checking out all the, the new models of the units and the buildings, everything. I'm not actually planning on doing the match. And they were like, okay, that's fine. So I would just kind of build stuff just to look at the models. My opponent would basically go around the map and do all the optional stuff. And then once I was done, like building everything and like checking everything out, I would be like, all right, I'm done. I'm gonna leave. GG. And they were like, okay, sure, GG. So I was really glad I was able to do that.
I still can't believe they were ever a part of the Horde.
Level 4. That's all right. We're on story difficulty. I forget if these carry over when we get to the,
Very good. That treasure chest held a magic tome that can be used to give Thrall a permanent benefit.
if these carry over to the Horde campaign when we get there later on.
For Doomhammer! Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes.
It is so great to be able to go back to this point in history. See Thrall, you know, my true war chief.
For honor.
But I will say I am glad where they're going now with the council.
Yes.
Instead of a war chief. I think it's appropriate. But during this time, yeah, it's a good thing, you know, that this was going on. I don't know if another war chief would have been as receptive to what Medivh is about to ask him to do, you know, compared to how Thrall acts.
Greetings, son of Duratan. I knew you'd find your way.
It was you I saw in the vision. Who are you? How do you know me?
I know many things, young war chief, about you and your people. My identity at this time is unimportant. What is important is that you rally your people and leave these shores immediately.
Leave? What's this all about, human?
Human? I left my humanity behind long ago. I am something different now. Know that I have seen the future and beheld the great burning shadow that is coming to consume this world. You sense it as well, don't you?
The demons are returning.
Yes, and only by leading your people across the sea to the distant lands of Kalimdor will you have a chance to stand against them.
But how can we...
I will answer all of your questions in time, young war chief. For now, rally your warriors and prepare to leave this land. We will speak again.
None of this makes sense. But the spirits tell me that I should trust him.
So I should comment on something real quick. The vision that we saw in the cinematic before this mission, that Thrall saw before Medivh was like, "You must rally the Horde." That was Medivh was basically showing him a vision of an alternate possible future of what would happen if he did not intervene here and tell Thrall, "You need to send the Horde to Kalimdor." If Thrall instead had just, like, followed in the footsteps of the previous leaders and had basically reformed the Horde's strength to take on the humans again and go to war with them, and then the Burning Legion would have shown up and we would have all, you know, been destroyed. That was the fate of what would have happened in the future had Medivh not shown up here and basically corrected the direction that Thrall and the Horde were going. To basically be like, no, you need to go to Kalimdor. Trust me on this. And of course, when Medivh responds like, "Human, I left my humanity behind long ago," you know, it has to do a lot with what I told you about in that story so far part, obviously. And the thing he says about the spirits tell me I should trust him, again, they really touched upon this in the Lord of the Clans book that I mentioned before, where he really and Drekthar was surprised by this when he was basically trying to mentor him on connecting with the elements of the world, that he was more in tune with the elements and the spirits of the elemental spirits, basically, of Azeroth and the elemental lords and such, more so than any other shaman ever had been before. And Drekthar was just like, you are by far the strongest shaman I've ever seen, because I've never seen one have more of a connection with them than you have. And this is really shown towards the end of the book when, after he gets them out of the camps, he goes back to the castle where the human raised him to basically give him like an ultimatum, because of how awful he's been to his people, where he doesn't necessarily want to kill him, because Thrall is not a bad person. He actually offers this person who was terrible to him. Yes, he did raise him and teach him, basically trying to bring him into his own personal warlord, but he didn't. But at the same time, Thrall is not like that kind of malicious orc like others had been before. So he actually like was offering him like an ultimatum kind of deal. And this is where we really see how awful this person was. Again, I forget his name, but he was a terrible drunk, like someone who just constantly got drunk and was just an awful person, both when he was sober and even more so when he was drunk. And the big moment is when, and this is, he didn't even let his men know about this. He shows up with a sack, just some bag. He opens it up, he pulls out the severed head of the girl that helped Thrall escape, who was Thrall's friend, who was basically the only human who ever actually cared about him, gave any kind of crap about Thrall at all during his time there, and befriended him, and he tosses it at Thrall. And this guy's men are shocked by this, of what he just did, because one, they've seen how strong Thrall is with the elements at this point, because he had been using the power of the elements, like the earth and earthquakes and such, to help get them out of the prisons. Plus, they see this gigantic orc army here, and they're like, can you surrender, please? We don't want to fight these orcs and lose our lives. But because this guy is awful, he threw that right at Thrall, and in that moment, Thrall doesn't even have to ask. He just silently asks the elements of earth to basically earthquake that fortress to the ground in his moment of grief and sadness and anger and rage at seeing his friend murdered like that. And it shows how in tune he was, that he hardly even had to ask. Like, the elementals and spirits knew exactly what he wanted. So, again, I can't gush about that book enough. I know some people don't like Christy Golden and her books or whatever, but I really enjoyed that book. Okay. So this is the new victory screen. Not like it was before, but that's fine. I like that it is more animated here, though, you can see. Chapter 2, Departures. 3 days later, near the Lordaeron coast. We'll see the intro here, and then we'll stop so I can save it, and then we will do the next mission in the next part. But in just a moment here, we'll see how this starts.
It's been 3 days, and this prophet has yet to show himself. I hope I'm not making a huge mistake by trusting him.
War Chief, the clans are assembling as you ordered, but it will take them some time to reach us.
Then we must prepare this camp immediately. I want my warriors to have food and proper lodgings when they arrive.
Yes, War Chief.
Warrior, has there been any word from Hellscream? He and the Warsong clan were supposed to have been here by now.
No, War Chief. We haven't heard from Hellscream in some time.
Damn it, Hellscream. Where the hell are you?
Alright. So now we get to do the base building stuff, and I will showcase that when we come back. Stay tuned.